What's up, everyone? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this, I wanted to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, Nvidia, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's happening with the market this far and why next week is going to be very important as we have big data coming out for Tuesday and Wednesday, and what the charts are suggesting as of right now. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. Looking at SPY right now, we're seeing a bit of an uptrend trying to be respected. We had this low all the way down here around this 507 area, and this thing is trying to push higher and higher just for the short term. However, when you zoom out and look at the medium term, it's still possible that SPY could get a rejection later on because we could just be establishing a lower high. So to turn back up, you have to try to break this high all the way up here, and that would really help this thing push to new all-time highs. But if it does not do so, it's still very possible we push a little higher, closer to about 537, maybe even 540, and we just get a big rejection again for another leg down. So I'm going to break down why on earth that's very possible, some very important levels to watch for, and what I see at least for the more short term. So first, let's talk about this. As a reminder, there wasn't really much data that came out for Friday, which is today. But for Monday, we have consumer inflationary expectations at 11 o'clock a.m. Then we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out. After that, for Tuesday, we have the PPI data report coming out, which will cause some high volatility. So get ready for that on Tuesday. And finally, for Wednesday, we're going to be looking at CPI. That's going to be one of the biggest catalysts for the week because CPI will give us more insights on how the Fed is looking at things, how the economy is looking, and what we should be expecting for when it comes to not just inflation, but the response to inflation. So we're going to be watching to see what the market does as well. So just to be very, very frank, Wednesday is going to be a massive day, and that's going to determine, in my opinion, if this rally is going to continue or not. Are we about to get a big rug pull? We'll just have to wait and see. And then also, there's a lot of tensions right now in the whole situation involving Iran. Right now, things got really tense because there's a lot of threats of major attacks. So I just want to give you guys a very important warning about this. Even if my analysis is suggesting the market's going higher as of right now, at the time I'm recording this, if something happens tomorrow or over the weekend and we don't see it coming, if it just happens out of nowhere, the market could still make a very, very big move to the downside. That's always a possibility if there is a big attack. It hasn't happened thus far. The big attack they're talking about hasn't happened yet. If it does happen, just be prepared for a lot of volatility in the markets. The market's going to likely get a big rug pull just temporarily. Okay, it's just going to be a temporary move because of the fear that this is going to lead to, especially with the US's involvement. But simultaneously, if it doesn't happen, then the market will continue to do what technicals suggest. So just keep this in your radar. As of right now, there hasn't been an attack, so we'll just have to wait and see. For earnings, we just have a few of them, a lot of retail. We have like the Home Depot on Tuesday, a few more like that. For Wednesday, we have Dole, not to mention UBS and Cisco. For Thursday, we have Alibaba, Walmart, and a few more. And then that's pretty much it, at least for the time being. Nothing too crazy, at least in terms of like tech or anything like that. It's mainly just retail. Fear is making up the majority of sentiment. I think this is going to shift a little bit more rightwards. As long as there's no major attacks, we are going to likely see the market continue to attempt to push, at least temporarily. Right now, momentum is still fearful. It might get closer to neutral as we're trying to reclaim our 125 daily moving average. So I'll watch for that. The put to call option positioning has pushed quite a bit, but now it's starting to turn a little bit because of the fact that people are starting to close shorts, take profits, and now we're seeing a lot of calls being bought. So I'm seeing a big shift right now, especially with big money starting to shift their view, which could push the market up just temporarily. That's part of why the VIX is kind of dipping a little bit as well. So with that being said, right now there's about a 50-50 chance the Fed gives us either a 50 or 25 basis point cut for September. And that's what the market's now anticipating. So that's based off what we're pricing in. What do I see for the charts, guys? Like I said before, technically speaking, as long as there's no major attacks, we look bullish going into next week. We do look bullish. Okay, the market's going to likely try to push higher. But just know that does not necessarily mean I'm a huge bull and I think the market's going to go to new all-time highs. I'm not saying that whatsoever. All I'm saying is that we might push a little bit higher for now. We could still get a big rejection depending on CPI and other factors like that going into next week. It may take time, but just to start things off, as long as there's no attacks, this thing is going to favor upside. We are favoring upside on SPY right now, especially on the 4-hour time frame. As long as we continue to make higher highs and higher lows, this may continue to push just for a temporary relief rally. I think that we're going to be testing 535 going into next week. If that breaks, we might attempt to fill this gap all the way up to about 541. There's a good chance we might get very close to 540. If there's a big if, We managed to break past resistance and hold up, and as long as there's no major attacks, the chart is still favoring upside. We do favor a push to the upside temporarily, but I'll give you guys a more detailed video about what could end up happening if there's going to be a rug pull or not in my later video as well. I would say going into tomorrow. But for now, I just want to say that just going into Monday, the charts look more bullish and they're favoring upside for the short term. Just for the short term. Nvidia has the same thing. We had this low down here around 91. We came up, made a higher low, and we're trying to push. So it looks to me like it's going to attempt to push again for that 108 target on Monday, as long as we hold support above 104. If we lose 104, look for a dip to 102. And if we hold 104, look for a rebound for about 108. The chart is looking a little bit more bullish, so it is suggesting upside is more imminent. I think there's a good chance that Nvidia is going to try to bounce. If we manage to break past 108, we will push higher, so give this some time. Then we'll just have to see how things end up perpetuating from here. For Bitcoin, we're trying to rebound. We're making higher highs and higher lows too. As long as we hold above 59,500, there's a good chance that this could start pushing for 62,000. We'll see if that ends up being the case. There's a nice uptrend, but if we end up losing support, we'll look for a dip, so we'll have to give that some time as well. For others out there, we also have ES. I'm just going to talk about this real quick. Looks a little bit more bullish. If we hold above 53.60 going into next week, we should push higher. As long as there's no attacks, this may be going all the way back up to the 5400s. It looks a little bit more bullish. We got a nice double bottom, making a higher low. Might temporarily push. Temporarily. We could reject and make a new low later on, okay? I'm not saying we're super, super bullish to new all-time highs. Just we're getting a temporary move to the upside, most likely, and we'll just have to see how things develop from here. Tesla's at the 200 area. We actually have our 20 EMA on the forward time from at 200. If we break this, we're going back up to about 204, at least that or higher. If we don't break that, Tesla could reject. So watch it very, very carefully. One thing that's nice is we have kind of like an inverse head and shoulders on Tesla that suggests that upside is a possibility. We may make an attempt to go higher, at least based off technicals. We'll see if the news and such align with that move. QQQ is looking a bit more bullish. We're trying to push for that 50 EMA around 454. There's a good chance we're going to be approaching the mid 450s and then possibly fill the gap up to about 450, 456 or so. So we'll see if we continue to push into the mid 450s as long as we hold above 450. If we were to lose 446, we would turn back down, but this chart is temporarily favoring upside. Remember, guys, temporarily, not saying it's going to last forever, just for the time being. For Aapl, we're looking more bullish. We're trying to fill this gap up here, so I think we might try to fill this gap. We got to hold above 215.69. If we hold above that, I think we're going to fill this gap up to about 219. If there's an attack that happens and something bad happens and we lose the support, we could be dipping back down to 212. So we got to hold above 215. As long as we hold that, we should be pushing to fill the gap, and the chart is favoring that a little bit more. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're just kind of consolidating. I think that with this trend, we had this low here, we made this new high, made a higher low, and we made an equal high right here. So we might retest the high just to see if we can try to break it or not. I think we might see a little push for 207 and eventually 208. And then we'll see if that breaks or not. If we reject off 207, we'll be coming back down, all the way back down towards the 205 area. So I see some potential in the IWM. For Coinbase is attempting to uptrend as well. We made a higher low here. As long as we hold above 198, I'll be looking for this gap to fill all the way up to about 203. And if we reject, we'll be tipping back down towards 190. This chart is still favoring the upside. Amazon looks a bit more bullish. Got to try to break past 168. If that's the case, we'll be pushing even higher for this gap fill to 171. The chart is making higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. It's still uptrending, so it looks bullish. Meta looks more bullish. Got a nice break, a hold above 515. Our target is going to be 520 for next week. I think we could be pushing towards that. So long as there's no bad news that comes out over the weekend involving an attack, this is favoring upside in my personal opinion. Microsoft is also favoring the upside. As long as there's no negative news, I think we could be pushing for 408 all over again. And then Google's kind of in the middle. We're at resistance at 165. If we break the 166 area, I think we could fill this gap all the way up towards 168. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. Anyways, that's my quick analysis for you guys. I want to just say that for now, the market looks like it's temporarily getting a nice push. But the question is, will the market make a new low? I'm going to give you guys more insights about that in my video for tomorrow and give you guys a very, very critical update about why I still believe that we're not necessarily in the clear. And I don't fully trust this rally quite yet. I'm going to break down why I think that way, at least for now. And I'll give you guys more insights as time goes on. So that being said, I just want to thank you all so much for listening. I hope you guys have a very, very great rest of your day. Enjoy your Friday, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow to give you guys another update. Thank you for listening, and peace out.